Disappeared off the earth, man.
Now, supposedly during a big storm on the beach, a giant monster came out. Some people say it was special effects, while others say that it was a giant monster named Cthulhu. Scientists say big creatures like this can't exist on land because their bones wouldn't be able to support their body. But in the ocean, it's possible.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, let me talk about it, man. We break down the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who come back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video I drop. Greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, seekers. Let's do what we do best, man. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Whatever you do, don't freak out, but this bug lives on your face.
Come again?
Demodex mites dig face first inside your pores. But don't freak out, they're harmless. They just eat your grease and dead skin on your face. But there is one thing you should be worried about. Don't cry, but they do wake up in the middle of the night to mate on your face. Yeah, now you know.
Whoa.
But they're harmless. And they live on all of you. Live with it. Like if you want a part 2 of things you don't know that live on your body.
They're on my face right now, bro. What the hell?
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. You have to have life insurance policy for 2 years before they'll pay out for a suicide. Brain-eating amoeba exist, and you can contract it from swimming in lakes or tainted tap water. They live in the US and UK. Female dragonflies fake their own death to prevent rape. Before modern medicine, there was this illness called mercy. Basically, if you had it, you were puking your own feces and you were sure to die in great pain. It is caused by obstruction in intestines. Most people trapped in the Titanic, as it went under, did not die of drowning. Rather, they were killed by water blasting into the ship's hull at great speed. At those pressures, the water would cut and crush you before it even had the chance to enter your body. Death by strangulation can turn teeth pink. The stress on the pulp chambers causes it to hemorrhage, so the blood colors the inside. Comment on this video and let me know which fact is the most disturbing.
A bunch of teeth turning pink. I did not know that was even possible, man.
Humans actually came from Mars. Okay, recently the NASA rover Perseverance found organic matter suggesting that life existed on this planet 3.5 billion years ago. Also, the redness of Mars is believed to be a nuclear winter, which is a phenomenon caused by nuclear weapons being used on a planet. Well, there's a theory that human life actually started on Mars. And the reason that we are now on Earth is because we drained all of Mars's natural resources and had no choice at all but to come to Earth. However, if you look at the current situation on Earth, it probably won't be long until Earth turns into Mars.
What do you guys think, man? I thought the whole point, you know, like Elon Musk isn't like he always trying to, reinvent ways to go to Mars. They said some nuclear stuff had already happened, so that kind of has me wondering, man. We shouldn't be, I guess, trying to migrate to other planets, bro. Just need to stay here on Earth. What do you guys think, man? You was on Mars first? Alright.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark. A human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right.
What?
The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 8.
Is gelatin really made out of bones, man? We're going to have to check that out. I kind of believe that one. Or they said marshmallows made out of animal bones, too. What the hell we putting in our system, seekers? You never know what you're eating nowadays.
Know these facts?
The Boeing factory is so large they had to install a one-of-a-kind air circulation system to stop clouds from forming inside of the building.
Whoa.
This is the world's smallest drawbridge in Bermuda. The US Navy is known to have used Xbox controllers to control the periscopes on submarines. James Cameron was homeless when he wrote The Terminator. He sold the rights for $1 on the condition that he was the one to direct the movie. A race was held in 1888 between a pigeon and a bee for 3 miles, where the bee won by 25 seconds. Camels have 3 eyelids that helps protect their eyes from the blowing sand. Cherries are dried with helicopters. It would take you 18 months to walk the Great Wall of China. The USA speaks more than 350 different languages. Scientists are out there making arguments that we may have more than 5 senses, one of them being magnetoreception, which is the ability to sense magnetic fields, and the other is chronoception, which is the ability to sense time passing.
Here's the everyday life hacks you need to know. Have you ever had a tight ring get stuck on your finger? Well, all you have to do is grab some string and tuck it underneath the ring, and use that same string and keep wrapping it around your finger. Then all you have to do is grab the other side and start pulling, and it will magically remove the ring. Now, who else hates when you have tape on your paper and you end up just ripping it? Well, in order to not do that, all you have to do is grab the tape on both sides and pull really hard, which then causes the tape to be removed very easy and your paper still intact. Now, if your house key ever breaks in your lock, get yourself a hot glue stick and then place it inside of the lock. Wait for it to dry a little bit and then pull it right out.
Gruesome facts you didn't know, part 82. Weighing nearly 90 pounds, the costume used for the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz was made of real lion skin and fur, as well as human hair mixed in. The South Fork of the Chicago River was given the nickname Bubbly Creek. It would bubble methane and hydrogen sulfide gas, which was due to meatpackers dumping blood and entrails into the water. In 2002, a Croatian diver was found dead in an underwater cave with a knife protruding from his chest. Initially believed to be a homicide, forensic analysis discovered that the man took his own life to avoid the agony of drowning. It was the first reported case of suicide while diving.
Here are some things you were definitely never meant to see.
Creepy.
Or no. I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, let's start here. What the heck here? This is an image captured from inside of a house in America. Now, it appears to be a gigantic eagle-type bird thing. But when did they get that big? No, that ain't no eagle. That's Lucifer's pet bird. We're all doomed. Next, I bet you didn't know that elephants can actually hear out of their feet. So what you're saying is those abnormally large ears are not the only place an elephant can hear. Nature! You good! Bees can actually live inside of your eye. And to make the nightmare worse, this has happened before to a Taiwanese woman in 2019. When a doctor found not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 bees living inside of her eye, feeding off her tears. What kind of horror movie shit was that? To make a deal, if you didn't know about any of these, you have to share it.
Hey man, leave a like, man, if y'all never even heard of that before, man. A bee living in somebody's eyes, but not 1, 2, 3, 4 bees, and they were living off of her tears. That's mind-blowing, man. I wouldn't even think something like that is possible. I'm definitely going to have to freaking check up on that story. Saw those crabs just came out of nowhere. What the hell? And that Red Sea. Are those sounds, man?
The most unnerving facial reconstructions of John and Jane Does. You can first look at the Salem County John Doe. These remains were found in 1979, I believe, in the New Jersey area under a pile of logs and grass. Kind of freaks me out about some of the classic facial reconstructions like this, is that the teeth are original. They're the same teeth from the skull that this was reconstructed over. Reconstruction is only named in the records that I found as Becca. Her story being that she was discovered in Albuquerque in 1991 while hanging in a motel bathroom. But these are another type of reconstruction that I do not like, solely because all of what's depicted here in the illustration is of the actual remains. Just they've drawn the eyes open. 1991, Harris County, Jane Doe. December 15th, 1991, when she was found in Houston, Texas, allegedly stuffed into the bottom of a cardboard box. disappearance is a different style of reconstruction, where it is an actual photograph of the body, it's just that the eyes have been photoshopped to be open. If cases of the unsolved or similar stories to this are of interest to you, we do have additional information on the show.
This is some uncanny valley vibes. Those last meals, man.
Back in March, dismembered body parts were found scattered across Long Island, and the victims were eventually identified as 59-year-old Donna Connolly and her partner, 53-year-old Malcolm Craig Brown. After Stephen Brown, Jeffrey Mackey, Amanda Wallace, and Alexis Nieves were arrested in connection to their deaths and charged with first-degree hindering prosecution, tampering with evidence, and concealment of a human corpse. They were all released on bail in mid-March with GPS monitors. But then in May, Jeffrey Mackey and Alexis Nieves were charged with murder. The Suffolk County DA said that the victims had participated in the planning of a gas station robbery back in February, and they allegedly planned it while Mackey and Nieves executed it. This ended up leading to a dispute between Malcolm and Donna and the four suspects, and that dispute ultimately led to their death. It is believed that Nieves and Mackey murdered Donna and Malcolm, while Wallace and Brown helped to dismember and dispose of the bodies. Mackey and Nieves have pleaded not guilty and are maintaining their innocence. But now, both Amanda Wallace and Stephen Brown, who is Malcolm's cousin, have pleaded guilty. This week, Amanda Wallace pleaded guilty to 5 felony charges and named Mackey and Nieves as the perpetrators. And then on Thursday, Brown pleaded guilty to 6 felony charges, admitting to participating in a plot to kill the victims and conceal their deaths. Both Wallace and Brown maintain that they did not commit the actual murders. And it is being said that they are both cooperating with authorities. They have yet to be sentenced, but because they are cooperating and have agreed to a plea deal, their sentence will be reduced than if they pled not guilty. Meanwhile, Mackey and Nieves have been charged with murder and are maintaining their innocence.
Really weird fun facts that you might find pretty damn interesting.
So who's telling
Number
what?
1, banging your head against a wall for an hour burns 150 calories. Number 2, approximately 40,000 Americans are injured by toilets each year. Number 3, there's a higher chance of you being elected President of the United States than winning the lottery. Number 4, an average of 100 people choke to death on ballpoint pens each year. Number 5, it is harder to be an employee at Walmart than a student at Harvard, because Walmart has a lower acceptance rate. Number 6, human birth control pills work on gorillas. Number 7, there are 2 million millionaires in the United States. I am not one of them. And number 8, like fingerprints, every tongue print is different from person to person.
Wow, what the hell? We have tongue patterns? What do you know, man? The hell? 2 million
Fun
millionaires?
facts about the human body PT.2. If someone is sleeping and you blow on their eyes won't react. But if they're awake, they will flutter a bit. That's how you check if someone is really sleeping. If you drink nothing but purple Powerade for 3 days straight, your poop will turn neon green. Your sense of balance is strongly linked to your eyes, and you may notice it's harder to keep your balance with them closed even if you're standing still. Women are actually programmed to forget the pain of childbirth after a few months or so. If this didn't happen, most women would only end up having 1 child, which would eventually lower the population.
That makes sense.
Wholesome facts that'll make your day slightly better, part 1. When a human sees a puppy, a chemical called dopamine is released in the brain. Elephants also release dopamine when they see people, meaning that they think we're cute in the same way we think puppies are cute. There's a YouTube channel called Dad, How Do I that teaches young people things that would typically be taught by a father figure. From how to change a tire to how to tie a tie, fans of the channel think it's super helpful. When you're on a walk with your dog and they stop to take a dump, you may notice that your fluffy friend is staring at you as they poop. They do this because they're in a defenseless position and they're trusting you to keep them safe. There are more public libraries in the US than McDonald's. After the horrific events of 9/11, a small Kenyan tribe known as the Maasai people gave 14 cows to the US in their support. The man who played Mickey Mouse ended up marrying the woman who played Minnie Mouse, meaning that true love actually exists.
That's true love right there, man. Who would have thought, bro?
Most of the comments are worried about that little guy, but he's fine. The snake's in trouble though. Meet the mongoose. They only get up to about 10 pounds. But let me tell you, That is the most ruthless 10 pounds in the world. It's like a hyper-aggressive, condensed version of John Wick that's a fully carnivorous hunter. And they are literally designed to fight snakes. Specifically venomous snakes. Like they prefer venomous snakes. King cobras, regular cobras, rattlesnakes, vipers, it's on sight. Fear? Never heard of her. But basically, the reaction speed is faster than a cat. So they can avoid all of the snake's bites. And once it gets close enough, it'll bite the head of the snake, crushing the skull. But the crazy thing is, even if they do take a bite, it's not that big of a deal. They have a protein in their body that binds to the protein in snake venom and digests it, like food. So usually, a venomous snake bite will just knock them out for like 15 or 20 minutes. And then it's on to round 2. And as always, follow for more facts.
Disturbing facts.
Damn, mongooses, bro, they have black Air Force energy. They try to run the feed with those venomous snakes. The venom don't even do nothing to them, man. We're learning our ass seekers.
Disney that will leave you shocked. 18-year-old actress who voiced Snow White was paid less than $1,000 to do it. She also was not credited. The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland used real skulls in its set design when it first opened. Actress who played Lilo in Lilo and Stitch also played Samara in The Ring. Part of your world was almost cut from The Little Mermaid because the chair of Walt Disney Studios was afraid that kids would think that the song was boring. Don from Beauty and the Beast in the 1995 version was the first male villain in any Disney princess movie. After Finding Nemo came out, there was a problem with kids around the world flushing their fish down the toilet so that they could go back to the ocean.
What?
The music on the It's a Small World ride never, ever turns off. Follow for more facts.
That's Snow White actress, man. That's so messed up that Disney did that.
Police have arrested a Chucky doll for threatening members of the public with a knife. This month, police in Mexico arrested a doll. Terrifyingly, they had been made aware of a Chucky doll who, along with its owner, were threatening the public in Monclova. If you're not already aware, the doll comes from the 1988 film Child's Play. In the movie, the serial killer turns into the doll, which then begins a terrifying crime spree. The owner of the doll has only been identified as Carlos N. He was reportedly scaring the public with the doll, threatening them with a knife and demanding money off them. Both Carlos and the doll were charged with disturbing the peace and putting others' integrity at risk. The doll was handcuffed and taken to the police station. They both had mugshots taken, and there has been some controversy over whether or not the officers were taking their job seriously. The police officer who put cuffs onto the Chucky doll has been reprimanded.
I was about to say that too. I'm like, why are you arresting a doll? Like come on, man. Yeah, they have to take their job way more seriously.
Took place at an ATM in Arkansas when the machine dispensed a kitten instead of money. The bank's security guard was making his usual rounds when he noticed a faint meow and realized it was coming from inside the ATM. It was unclear if this animal was just seeking shade or trying to pull off some clever ATM heist, but either way, the security guard figured that the cat should be removed as soon as possible and called the fire department right away. Firefighters arrived on scene, and with a little bit of work, they successfully made a cat withdrawal. Thankfully, while he was a bit grumpy from the ordeal and required some nourishment, the kitten was overall healthy. He was named Cash and taken to the Fort Smith Animal Haven, where a veterinarian placed him on a care plan to recuperate and gain some weight. He was scared at first, but he settled in quickly, and as his personality came out, it became clear that Cash was actually a super friendly and cuddly little guy. After some socialization in a foster setting, Cash was adopted by a local doctor, and he's now living a much more comfortable life away from any banks or ATMs. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
16-year-old Allie.
How did the cat get into the ATM in the first place? I know cats are flexible, but beginning that little small, just holding the ATM, he's living up to his name, Cash.
Influencer vanished off her school bus, and she has never been seen since. This footage is from her high school the day of. It is April 26th, 2010. Well, this footage would mark the last time she was ever actually seen. She ended up getting off her bus stop right on this very street that you see behind me, and this was seen on camera. On that bus at 2:56 p.m. and she had already texted her mom that she was going to be walking from their home to her job, which is only about 10 or so minutes away. But at 2:57, just a minute after she got off the bus, she sent a text to her friend. Then her phone mysteriously turned off, and nobody has seen her since. Years into this case, there has only ever been one witness who came forward who said they might have seen a girl who fit her description talking to somebody in a white.
Hard to hear, but that's why.
Disappeared off the earth, man.
Now, supposedly during a big storm on the beach, a giant monster came out. Some people say it was special effects, while others say that it was a giant monster named Cthulhu. Scientists say big creatures like this can't exist on land because their bones wouldn't be able to support their body. But in the ocean, it's possible. All I know is I'm moving to Mars. Let me know in the comments below if you think this is real or fake. Was it really a monster, or are they covering up saying it was effects? And like this video if you want more giant creatures caught on tape.
Is that effects or was that real, bro? Cthulhu?
Scariest bird sounds.
Seen some videos on that.
Not back with these scary bird sounds again.
Black-collared starling.
Oh, what does that sound like? I thought it was a cat. Oh god, it sounds
That's
like
a
I'm on the
baby.
aeroplane. Okay, right, we've gathered this one. Is that real? Peacock, you don't want to pick him off. Wait, that sounds like that alarm, doesn't it? Like the bloody, I don't know what it's called.
Shoebill.
It does.
We know what the shoebill sounds like. Call of Duty. Look. Are these extinct or are they still alive? Because I'd love to see one in person. Look.
What the?
Cassowary.
Oh, this is the deep throat one, isn't it? Apparently these are very dangerous, you know. Everyone was saying that they're quite scary to be near.
White bellbird.
A white bellbird? It doesn't even sound real, does it?
It doesn't.
It sounds like a spaceship coming to get me is what it sounds like. Oh!
This is some dark stuff going on around the world that the public definitely doesn't know about. Up first, humanity has wiped out 60% of the animal population since 1970. Just think about that for a second. 60% of all animal population has been wiped out. This is absolutely crazy, and we use all of these resources for food and clothes and just stuff like that. But when you hear that we killed 60% of the animal population, it kind of makes you think, right? Next up, we all know the mega city that Saudi Arabia is building called Neom. But did you know Saudi Arabia is sentencing people to death who refuse to move out of their homes so they could actually build the mega city Neom? And their relatives are being sentenced to multiple decades of prison time just for protesting and posting their support to the cause on social media. This is absolutely sickening, and I can't believe nobody is talking about this. This next one is going to keep us all up at night. But bacterial resistance to antibiotics is at an alarming level. There has already been instances of pan-antibiotic resistant strains of bacteria. This can throw us back to the pre-antibiotic era, which will effectively mean if you catch an infection, you will die. Just like in the 1400s. Finally, women are going missing from Indian reservations across some of the United States. Many are young women and are probably being used for sex trafficking. I wonder why they're taking Indian women from Indian reservations. And I wonder why sick stuff happens like this on Earth every single day.
Someone said I should go and watch Chim Crazy, and I like to think a bungee jump off the Brooklyn Bridge would have been lesser to my blood pressure. If you want the spark notes, it's basically Tiger King but with chimps, but somehow even worse than that. I thought it was common knowledge that chimps are rageaholic chainsaws with thumbs, free will, and no morality to tie them down. It's a whole part-time predator with the Punisher skill set and cannibalistic tendencies. I do not get how in the decade of 2020, people still think it's a good idea to invite this reality check of the animal kingdom into your living room. You've probably heard the horror stories of people that tried playing house with a chimp and then found out, but here's a story you might not have heard. Once upon a time, there was a place called Chimp Party. Well, actually, it was renamed the Missouri Primate Foundation, but that sounds way too professional for what was going on in there, so Chimp Party. And what it was basically a puppy mill but for chimps in Festus, Missouri. As bad as you think it is, probably worse. Basically breeding chimps to sell as exotic pets or rent for TV or commercials or whatever. Anyway, one day the chimps got out. Actually, it happened more than once, but this time in 2001, they escaped and ended up pressing a nearby family. A family that included 18-year-old Jason Coates. The chimps were throwing rocks, they chased him into a car, it was fully chimped out. Now, you know Jason a real one, because stuff didn't get serious until they started throwing his dog around. He was not letting that slide. So the story goes, Jason ran out the car, got into the house, and came back with the mouse Cthulhu. He tried scaring them, but when one of the chimps, Susie, charged him,
he sent her the dog backwards. But here's where it gets wicked. Not only did Jason get arrested and charged with chimp murder, not only was he put in jail with grown men for refusing to be chimp bait, not only did he miss the birth of his first child because he was in there, he would be registered as a felon because of it until only a couple years ago. I love animals, I really do, but if a chimp's coming at me with malicious intent, well actually any intent, and I got that pole on me, either the chimp's getting it or I'm self-medicating with a bullet. For 20 years he was a convicted felon for the crime of not letting a chimp peel him like a banana, and we know that would have happened because Susie had a son named Travis. Yeah, the same Travis that literally defaced a woman. That's a literal travesty. Yeah, moral of the story, chimping ain't easy, but it won't stop some people from trying.
Seek the truth.
Facts that will ruin your life. A different version of you exists in the minds of everyone who knows you. Nighttime is the natural state of the universe. Daytime is only caused by a nearby radiating ball of flame. The word mortgage comes from a French term that means death pledge, or a contract that only expires upon death. Over 50% of commercial pilots have all admitted to falling asleep while flying a plane. The sun may have exploded, and we wouldn't know it for at least 8 minutes. Hit the plus sign if these disturbed you.
The fact about the mortgage is basically saying it's come from a death term.
Here are some things that are completely normal during the day but really creepy at night. Digging holes in your backyard. I mean, it's your backyard and you're entitled to do whatever you want to it, but if I see you digging some holes in the middle of the night, I'm gonna be really concerned. Bonus creepy points if you have some trash bags next to you too. I feel bad for people who work graveyard shifts or are night owls because it makes it difficult to do any gardening or landscaping without looking pretty creepy. They say a child's laughter is one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, but not if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Scary movies have absolutely ruined the sound of a child laughing for me because most instances, I'm gonna assume the worst. And for some reason, little girls laughing are even more scary. Like imagine being in the woods camping and you hear some little girl laughing in the distance. My brain isn't gonna think, oh cool, some family must be camping near us. No, I'm gonna think that I'm gonna get murdered or possessed by some demon. Someone knocking on your door during the day, it's annoying. Who the fuck is showing up at my house unannounced? It must be a salesman or worse, Mormons. That same knock at 3 in the morning? No, I'm getting murdered for sure. I'm on the 2nd floor and my only way out is to jump out the window, so I'm done for.
People you never knew existed. This is Josephine Myrtle, and she was born with 4 legs and 2 sets of genitals. Despite having these conditions, she got married and had 5 kids. These are the only 2 men in the world who can speak the Ayacaneco language in Mexico. But they don't talk to each other because they have beef. Doctors were left stunned when this man came into the hospital complaining about chest pain. After a couple of scans, they realized he had 2 hearts. Jill Price has perfect memory of her life, and if you asked her what she ate for breakfast 20 years ago, she would get it right.
I think the thing that got me the most was when the girl or woman who had like 5 sets of freaking legs and genitals. Man, it's freaking mind blowing out here, bro. These people, man, you think wouldn't exist. It's like they're coming out of a freaking video game or something like that. Extraordinary people in this world. You gotta expand your mind.
What could be more terrifying than the thought of your own body setting itself on fire? For hundreds of years, this phenomenon has been the subject of scientific scrutiny as well as deep mystery. Spontaneous human combustion. This is when the human body appears to ignite internally, a fire starting from within before the entire body becomes engulfed. This actually dates all the way back to the 1600s, and since then there have only ever been about 200 cases reported worldwide. In 1984, a scientific team was assembled led by Joe Nickell to investigate a number of these cases dating back to the 1800s. One of the unusual threads that was found between all of these cases was that with every body investigated, there seemed to be some trace of alcohol in the system. This gave way to the Wick theory, suggesting that if alcohol was in the system and there was some kind of a chemical change that could ignite a fire, body fat could be used as an accelerant, making the mystery of this phenomenon one you should think about next time you're drinking.
That's why I don't even drink. Another reason to stay away.
The Uvalde school shooter was arrested last year after making death threats herself. And this seems to be an alarming pattern of behavior in this family. So if you don't remember, in 2022, this man went into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, and opened fire, killing 21 people altogether, 19 young children and 2 teachers. This was one of the most horrific events to ever really happen here in the United States. It sent shockwaves around the world. And those 21 students and teachers that lost their lives that day will never be forgotten. But in January of 2023, Salvador Ramos, the shooter's mother, Adriana Reyes spent 2 nights in jail for threatening to murder her disabled partner that she lived with. Apparently, the man that she was dating stated that he felt terrified and felt like she could kill him at any second, and that's why he called the police to report her. Now, initially she tried to claim that this never happened, but somebody who was a witness to these threats, who actually heard her screaming these death threats, corroborated the story with the police, and she was arrested. And if you'll remember, Salvador Ramos's cousin actually threatened to do the same thing as his cousin, aka he threatened to commit another shooting last year as well. And needless to say, I think that there's just something wrong here. This week on our podcast, my wife Courtney and I are starting our series about the Uvalde school shooting. Our podcast is called Murder in America, and we're going through everything that led up to this, the police failures, the massacre itself, and obviously everything that happened afterwards.
Sound like something wrong with that family. It's just like, it's through the whole line. It's like I passed down through the genes.
Is this a coincidence? Tree stump. Fingerprints.
Similar.
Tree branch. Human lungs. Leaf veins. Human veins.
Some chilling similarities.
Tree of life. Human placenta. Grass. Human hair. Tree roots. Human veins. River network. Human veins. Tree roots. Human nervous system. Thorn plant. Human spine.
Let me find out.
You are today years old.
Don't tell me we're just basically more evolved a version of a tree, man. The tree branches and the lugs, man. And they look similar. That's at the grass and the human hair. It was eerie similar, bro. One time we were just basically a more evolved version of a tree.
Old when you found these out. If you want to heat up some food at night, microwaves have a silent mode. To activate the silent mode, all you have to do is hold down the 1 button. So you're driving a car and you need gas, but you don't know which side the tank is on. If you look on the dashboard, there's an arrow next to the gas tank indicating which side the gas tank is on. Surprisingly, the drawer under the oven isn't used to hold pots and pans. It's made to keep your food warm until you're ready to eat.
Wow.
Airplane windows actually have little holes in them to prevent the windows from fogging. These candies are called lifesavers because if a child accidentally chokes someone, they will still be able to breathe because of the hole in the middle.
Now I know where the name come from. What was the one that was a weird name for a candy? Lifesavers. Just an added seekers. Trees walking. Now, come on now.
Don't freak out, but this bug lives on your face. Demotic mites dig face first inside your pores. But don't freak out, they're harmless. They just eat your grease and dead skin on your face. But there is one thing you should be worried about. Don't cry, but they do wake up in the middle of the night to mate on your face. Yeah, now you know. But they're harmless. And they live on all of you. Live with it. Like if you want a part 2 of things you don't know that live on your body.
That my face right now? What the hell, bro?
This is what we know about the awful case of 16-year-old Shelby Binney. Shelby was a cheerleader at Bixby High School, and on Thursday night, her family was on their way home with her dad behind the wheel. He had reportedly been drinking, and according to her mom, they were also having a heated argument up in the front seat. At 70 miles per hour, he tried to pass another vehicle in a no-passing zone, and their SUV flipped. As we know, Shelby was tragically ejected from her family's vehicle on impact. A bystander immediately ran over to the scene, but there aren't even words for what happened next. Shelby's father was reportedly standing disoriented located just outside of the crashed car, and when asked if anyone was hurt, he ran away. He left his 16-year-old daughter there to die on the pavement. Now, according to police, they were able to determine that Elliot had fled to a local family-owned business, and it was there that he got access to another car. They were able to electronically track that vehicle, and within 12 hours, they found him behind the wheel in a town about an hour away. It was obviously too late to give him a DUI test, but he was taken into custody. With Elliot's arrest, we know that while he tried to tell police he skidded on an oil spot, he's also admitted to taking a few swigs of the vodka bottle that was found in the front seat. Today, Elliot is charged with first-degree manslaughter, but he has already posted his $100,000 bail. And as for Shelby's mom and her siblings, again, unfortunately, we don't know how they're doing now. Shelby is described as a bright light with a heart of gold and the best teammate you could ask for. If you would like to support her family during this time, the link will be in my bio.
People need to stop driving, man, when they're intoxicated. It's very simple.
Yeah, the hyena's a girl. So many may know, female hyenas have a fake meat hose that looks almost identical to the real thing. And for those that don't, actually, that's the lead. They have a pseudo-phallus that they give birth from, and yes, it's as traumatizing as you think, and yes, the very process of birth can end up doing the exact opposite for everyone involved. But low-key, having a built-in flesh strap might explain why hyenas are exactly the way they are. So for most animals, life pretty much comes down to the 3 F's: food, fights, and... So a lot of times when male animals run a fade, it's for the goal of female validation. But hyenas having a female 5th leg means they have a natural crotch block. It's basically anti-mating hardware that means the no-pants dance can only happen if she allows it. So unlike things like lions or bears, there's really no reason for male hyenas to want smoke with each other when getting it in is already RNG. Pun intended. And it's believed having coitus completely out of their control is why male hyenas are way less aggressive and even have less testosterone than the females. Meanwhile, the females are more on-go than a green light. And why hyena sisters are way more likely to put each other on a t-shirt. And with them being pack animals with a whole social ladder, the Walking Comedy Club had to become more aggressive just to give their cubs a chance at life. Matter of fact, that's probably why they have more testosterone. So yeah, moral of this video. Lion King did hyenas every type of dirty, but they got it right when they had Shenty giving orders. And now you know why.
Horses are much bigger
just
than
registered.
People, so naturally they just have a lot more blood than we do. So whenever horses get nosebleeds, it ends up looking like a whole crime scene. So one of the only reasons we know how many people died in the Titanic are the shoes that are laying on the ocean floor. Some are pretty cool, others are kind of depressing. And the reason we count the shoes instead of, bones is because when the Titanic hit the floor, all the corpses kind of just scattered and the fish ate the corpses, but the fish couldn't eat the shoes. If you ever decide to go climb Mount Everest, I hope that you remember that the crevices in the ice are V-shaped. Which means if you were to ever accidentally fall down one, you more than likely wouldn't die instantly. Your body heat would melt the ice around you, causing you to slip further and further down until your chest couldn't expand enough to breathe. So make sure you bring a friend just as crazy as you to help get you out.
Mount Everest, one of the most deadliest places ever. I don't think I'm gonna go there, man. You might have to pay me. I had too many stories about that mountain.
Ellen Greenberg, pictured behind me, had over 20 stab wounds, but they classified it as suicide. Let's talk about why that is not the case.
How?
On January 26, 2011, there was a blizzard happening in Philadelphia. She worked there and wanted to go home, so she left her workplace. At 6:40 p.m. that same day, she was stabbed 20 times. 10 of those times were in the back of her neck and in her back. She also had 11 bruises on her right arm, her legs, and her abdomen. Now, despite these findings that the wounds were on her back and she had bruises all over her, the Philadelphia police classified this as a suicide. Now, the Philadelphia police and the homicide investigators said this was a suspicious case, and then they closed it and ruled it a suicide. So, in my opinion, I think a cover-up is going on here. Maybe someone powerful decided to pull a hit on her, or maybe one of the investigators or the Philadelphia police themselves were in on this. There's just no way this is a suicide. 20 stab wounds with 10 to the back of your neck and back, there's no possible way. And the bruising, like, come on. Obviously there was a struggle. Obviously there was some blunt force trauma. Ellen Greenberg's case needs to be reopened and reevaluated. Let me know what you guys think about this case in the comment section below. And as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
The murder
needs to be
of
reopened.
Chick-fil-A Marie
Simple.
has to be my favorite case of all time. Like, I actually get butterflies in my stomach every time I revisit this case. I'm just so fascinated by the killer. He was so dedicated. He was gorgeous. Super, super dreamy. Like, if he wasn't behind bars, I would probably be with him. And just how dedicated he was to chopping her into bits and pieces. I mean, he really had no remorse, and we almost have to appreciate that. Like, the fact that he carried this chainsaw around for miles and miles, and after chopping her up, it just wasn't enough. enough that he decided to also set on fire. I'm like, there's something hot about that. Siri, play This Girl Is on Fire. We can make jokes now, guys. It's been a long time. The best part about this is that this killer had no remorse. During the court hearing, he actually sat and looked her family members dead in the eyes. Dead, get it, guys? And he actually just laughed the entire time. And you know what? I can appreciate a man who doubles down. Also, disclaimer before people get their panties in a twist, I am being super, super respectful of the family. I'm only sharing things that I've seen already on the internet, so I'm not making things up. These are just facts, and I just want to share that with you guys.
Here are some facts that you...
Nah, some of those we can chew. You can't break the case down like that, man. Like, it's too much. She's just a little bit too happy to explain what was going on, man. But she said from a POV, so obviously she was just doing, I guess, what some other people be doing when they breaking down cases, but that ain't the way to do it.
You were never taught that could legitimately save your life one day. So listen the fuck up. If there is a random smell of fish in your house when you haven't had fish, obviously, how do I put this? Get the fuck out! Because this is most likely a sign of an electrical fire. If someone you know is having a heart attack and you need to give them aspirin, be sure they chew it before they swallow it because it makes it work faster. If you are outside or high up or whatever, and you not only hear a crunchy crickling noise in the sky, also your hair starts to randomly stand up like it's static, you need to run, because you, my friend, are about to get struck by lightning. If you are in the pool and the pool water starts tasting metallic, first piece of advice, stop drinking pool water! Get the fuck out, because there's most likely an electrical short somewhere in the water. Finally, bats are the best place to hide during a tornado. So grab your rubber ducky and wait it out. Let's make a deal. If you didn't know any of these, you have to share it, and all with me now.
This is the
scary
truth about Mars. So everybody knows humans are trying to get people to live on Mars. Especially Elon Musk. But none of these people ever tell you the scary truth about the red planet Mars. Mars is actually famous for its dust storms, and they have the largest sandstorms in the entire solar system. These storms can last for months, and these storms just don't stick to one area. These storms actually engulf the entire planet of Mars, and the winds can reach up to 60 miles per hour. These sandstorms can also block the sun, which would just start a domino effect of problems. So, if us humans actually make it to Mars, one of these storms can just kill us all and just ruin all the years of hard work to get there.
So why they want us to go to Mars then? If they know this information. I'm starting to think it's a setup. Those people going to Mars might be a trap, man. The more you know, Seekers. You gotta stay on Earth, man. I never even knew that until I watched these clips with you guys, bro. That's why I was always expanding my mind.
This is the dirtiest man in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Mal Haji is in his 80s and he hasn't bathed for over 60 years. He leads a nomadic lifestyle in Iran, and his favorite food is rotten porcupine, and he smokes animal feces out of a pipe. He believes that cleanliness will bring him sickness, and he says the thought of taking a bath after all this time makes him angry.
Don't go 60 years without
Now I know we all
freaking
love
taking
the
a
thought of
shower.
little old E.T. coming to visit Earth, making his entrance like, hello. But maybe that isn't such a good idea for, you know, fucking humanity. Actually, a lot of scientists hope that the universe is completely empty. We're so lonely. The theoretical Great Filter is fucking terrifying. The scientists have calculated that there should be at least 20 civilizations in our galaxy alone. So, E.T., where the fuck are you? Come home to Tatty. Or a more terrifying question, what happened to them? That is what scientists are asking. The Great Filter. The belief that somewhere along life's trajectory, life suddenly goes, you know what, nah, fuck you all. Completely wiping it out before it becomes too intelligent. An inevitable, unavoidable phenomenon. It's different to every civilization. It could be disease. We have enough of fucking that. Nuclear power, AI, no wait, no too soon. Or one of these fucking things. Now there's two options. One, we're already ahead of the Great Filter. We survived or did the undoable, making us very rare. Or we're behind it, still yet to face our challenge that we most likely won't survive. And we won't see it coming. Elon!
You guys think we made it past the Great Filter yet? I don't know. What the hell were those things walking? Can't even explain that.
Kids have ever said. A man's mother passed away in a car accident when he was 6 years old. When his 2-year-old daughter saw a picture of her grandmother for the first time, she laughed. He asked her, "What's so funny?" She looked at him and said, "That's my special friend who sings to me." A man's 3-year-old daughter stood next to her newborn brother and looked at him for a while. She turned back to her dad and said, "Daddy, it's a monster. We should bury it." A woman and her 4-year-old son were out in public when all of a sudden he starts rubbing on her belly and talking to it. She asked what he was doing, and he said, "I'm talking to the baby." She informed him politely that she was not pregnant, and then he said, "There is a baby in your belly. I just saw it crawl across the floor and climb up into you." A woman's 5-year-old asked when he was going to be 23 years old. She told him in 18 years. He replied, "Well, I hope I don't die again, because that's how old I was the last time I went to heaven." Follow for more of the...
That last one. It's chilling. Like he caught a glimpse of his past life where he knew. We saw clips before about kids talking about past lives and it was true, so.
This is real footage that was accidentally captured by a group of scientists that were looking for an old library. They found an ancient cult that had been around for thousands of years, using teeth as their form of currency. This elusive cult has rarely ever been captured on camera. You see, this cult wears masks to hide their identity, as well as hooded cloaks that are either red or black, and worship a god called Winfred Stitch. And that's why this cult is called the Stitch Veneration. They can often be found at music concerts, and only one musician called Covey is known to be a Stitcher, with the Stitch symbol tattooed on his hand, and fans wear masks to all of the shows.
It's right in front of our eyes. We ain't even paying attention.
I want to go ahead and I want to discuss this Instagram story and what makes this diabolically creepy. So I'm not going to give the name. I blocked everything out because clearly they want to remain anonymous. Context is that somebody clearly broke into their old school. I don't know if it was their middle school, high school, whatever it was. And they posted this to their story, but pretty soon after, people started commenting about what they see in the background. You zoom in just a little bit, you would see that this person was not alone in that classroom. But before we take a deeper look at that photo, a huge thank you to Spyfly for bringing me this story. If you want to look up something about somebody, you go to Spyfly. How to become this one-stop shop where you can do background reports, you can look at arrest records, you can even do reverse phone lookup. Spyfly.com is going to be the place to do it. You can check the link in my bio for more details. So back to this photo. I don't know if you can see this, but there is definitely somebody crouching in the background of this classroom. And if you still doubt me, I zoomed in and enhanced the picture for you.
Damn.
This is John List.
I saw it.
In 1971, he murdered his entire immediate family before escaping and starting a completely new life that he lived for more than 17 years before he was eventually caught. This is a wild story. I covered it on the latest episode of my podcast, but here's an overview. In 1951, John List married Helen Taylor, and together they had 3 children, Patricia, John Frederick, and Frederick. List had served in the Army and was an accountant with a successful career working as a comptroller for a bank in Jersey City, New Jersey. The family lived in a 19-room mansion in Westfield, New Jersey called Breeze Knoll. And the 5 of them, along with John's mother Alma, who was also living with them, were swimming in space there. The family seemed to have a happy life here. It seemed like John was successful, and they weren't super social, but everything seemed fine. The kids were popular and hardworking, and nobody knew anything bad about the family. Behind closed doors, things were not as they seemed. Helen was an alcoholic and was extremely ill from contracting syphilis from her first husband. And John List had lost his job at the bank. But instead of telling his family, he basically went to work every day pretending that he was going to his job and coming home after work hours. And he started skimming money off of his mother's bank account to help pay the mortgage. But then on November 9th, 1971, John List would do the unthinkable. That morning, he dropped the kids off at school and returned home. When he got home, he took out one of his guns, approached his wife of almost 20 years, and shot her in the back of the head. He then went up to the attic apartment where his 84-year-old mother lived and shot her as well. When 16-year-old Patricia and 13-year-old Frederick arrived home from school, List attacked them from behind, shooting them each in the back of the head. List then made himself some lunch. He went into the bank and closed both him and his mother's accounts, and then he went to Westfield High School where he watched his middle son, John Frederick, play a soccer game. After the game, he drove 15-year-old John Frederick home. and when they got home, he attacked. John Frederick tried to fight back, but unfortunately, he ended up succumbing to multiple gunshot wounds. Bliss then placed the bodies of Helen, Patricia, John Frederick, and Frederick on top of sleeping bags in the mansion's ballroom. He left Alma up in the attic apartment because she was too heavy to drag down. He then wrote a letter to his pastor confessing what he had done, and he wrote letters to the kids' schools saying that they would be gone visiting a sick relative for a few weeks so nobody would suspect them missing. Then he walked around the house and removed every single photo of himself from all of the photo albums. Finally, he started piping religious music throughout the home, and then he left. By the time the bodies were discovered a month later, John List was long gone. And while he was the immediate main suspect in the murders, police didn't have a lot to go on, and they were unable to circulate a recent photo of him because he had removed every single photo of himself from inside the house. The family's car was found at JFK Airport, but John List went undetected for almost 18 years. Part two.
Interesting facts that will make you think.
Okay.
When people talk about traveling to the past, they worry about radically changing the present by doing something small.
True.
But barely anyone in the present thinks that they can radically change the future by doing something small. The person who invented audio recording probably thought it didn't work right when their voice sounded different. The best part of a cucumber kind of tastes like the worst part of a water balloon. An air conditioning repairman spends all day in buildings with no air conditioning. When it's fixed and finally cold, they leave. Security at every level of an airport is always taken very seriously. Until you get to baggage claim, because then it's just like take whatever bag you want. The amount of people older than you never gets bigger. When we're young, we sneak out of our houses to go to parties. When we're older, we sneak out of parties to go home. Follow for more.
Have you done that?
8 years old when you realized the candy lifesavers are shaped like a lifesaver because if a kid chokes someone, the hole in the middle will save their life because they'll still be able to breathe. I was 10 years old when I realized that the Krusty Krab is a crab trap. Next, after you take off the caps on these Kool-Aid drinks, you can actually flip it around and re-close your drink. Okay, flames don't have shadows. Did you know that Sid from Toy Story 1 is also the garbage man from Toy Story 3? And I was 10 years old when I realized that a Gatorade cap fits perfectly at the bottom of a Gatorade bottle.
Okay, we just learned some mind-blowing facts, man. I didn't even know you could twist those links off the Kool-Aid just... That was a cap. I always used to throw those away. And then we had a Sid 3 freaking cameo in Toy Story 3. The more you know, man. Tap in, man. You're gonna learn some interesting facts with this.
Here are some facts that are guaranteed to make you go, wow.
Talk
So maybe
about it.
tag some friends so they can also go, wow. This one's a bit mental. If you fully stretch out the DNA of just one of your cells, it'd be about 2 meters long. However, if you stretch all of the DNA from all of your cells out, it would reach twice the diameter of our solar system. There is such thing as a polka-dotted zebra. Since when? Chicago is actually sinking at a very similar rate to Venice. Everyone needs to know this. It's been determined by scientists that 3 seconds is the perfect dunking time for a British biscuit. You're welcome. And 4 seconds if it's an Oreo. Picasso's full name is actually 23 words long. Cool, but why? There is over $1 million worth of hidden treasure buried somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. I'll be right back. It takes 43 muscles to frown, however only 17 to smile. So what we've determined here is it's easier to be happy. Says he's screaming. Speaking to, if you didn't know any of these, you have to share it.
There's treasure in the Rocky Mountains? I'm on my way. We gotta go up
This is
there.
your friendly reminder that flies are racist, and you can use that to your advantage. Okay, not really. That was low-key clickbait, but hear me out. You can actually lower the chances flies press you based on the color of your clothes. According to studies, flies are most attracted to the color blue because I guess they mistake it for food or something. Dark browns and blacks close behind. Colors. We are fully talking about colors here. Generally, darker colors are more attractive to insects like black flies, but if you've been to any, I want to say, culturally diverse cookouts, you'll notice the flies have a type. Now, if wearing black isn't a choice but a way of life because, you know, studies also show that many disease-causing flies and mosquitoes hate bright colors like yellow and orange. And since flies are attracted to dark-moving objects, light, neutral colors, that's what you're going to want to go for. And if you're really not trying to mess with flies, striped clothing might actually confuse the flies and make them less likely to land on you. No joke, that's this barcode donkey's whole flow. But if you're not trying to do all that, wearing white, beige, or lighter colors like yellow for the summer might just be the move. The more you know.
Write that down, Seekers. Write that down. We need all those anti-colors, bro. When I'm going out, man, I'm gonna switch it up. No more freaking flies and mosquitoes for me, bro. They're hella annoying, man. I'm glad we're learning these facts out here.
what you see first can say a lot about your personality. Today's fun personality test. Look at this picture and let me know what you see first. Comment it down in the comments, lock it in, and then I'm going to tell you what experts say about you.
What do you see?
You saw the trees first. According to experts, you have great intuition, and you always trust it. You have a very laid-back personality, and you like spending quiet time doing nothing. If you saw the tiger first, according to experts, you're very strong-minded, and once you make a decision, nothing can change that. And you're somebody who just likes a peaceful life. You don't get into drama just for the sake of getting into drama. So tell me in the comments what you saw first, and are experts right about you, or did they get it completely wrong? And for more fun personality tests like this, follow me.
The most
I saw the
rich
tiger.
kid Snapchats. This kid was complaining that he crashed his Aston Martin, and he is now driving this, a Bentley. No way you're complaining about that, bro. Don't do that. This kid was mad that he was heading back to school. That was in his private jet. This guy posted a picture of a Rolls Royce and him wearing very expensive shoes. And he captioned it, "Peasant Protection." What? This kid was complaining that his dad got him a bad first car and his dad promised him a Ferrari, showing that he got a new Porsche instead. Bro, I never want to hear you complaining again.
Me either.
You know that crying literally makes you prettier? My name's Angel, and I've been studying in the field of psychotherapy the past 7 years, as well as being a makeup TikToker. And guess what? I just got out of a lash appointment because I cried all of my lashes off this month. And am I mad at myself? Not one bit, because psychologically, crying is a sign that you're healing, not a sign that you're broken or weak. Why? Because your body is designed with something called lacrimal glands. Lacrimal glands are activated when you cry. When your lacrimal glands are activated, your body immediately goes from a state of fight or flight to rest and digest. Your body and your brain are literally threatened when you're in a state of fight or flight. But when you're in a state of rest and digest, you are healing. Your brain becomes prettier and healthier when you feel your emotions deeply. Don't feel wrong for crying. You're actually going in the right direction.
This photo
So
shows
cry more.
41-year-old Stephen Plattle marrying his 19-year-old daughter Katie, who is pregnant with his child. Katie had been previously given up for adoption after her mother Alyssa realized that Stephen was physically abusing their daughter. But in 2016, Katie, who's now 18 years old, wanted to reconnect with her biological parents and actually ends up moving in with them. But after some time, Alyssa realizes that her husband is acting very differently and is even starting to dress better. She decides to ignore this change in behavior until 2017, when Katie gets pregnant and the father is her father. Alyssa immediately divorces Stephen, and just 2 months later, he and Katie are set to get married and give birth to a baby boy. Both the parents attend the wedding and support the marriage until 2018, when Katie begins to see a different side of Stephen. But when she tries to end the relationship, Stephen suffocates their newborn baby and stuffs him inside of a closet. He then proceeds to shoot both Katie and her adoptive dad before turning the gun on himself.
It's a doom, right? From the start. That dog ain't sweet. Well, they said it was a skinwalker disguised as their dog. Cause I have a feeling you're in danger. Y'all know what I mean? I'm in danger. From the Simpsons. Yep, that's how I felt, bro, watching that.
As disturbing as it is entirely possible Amy Lynn Bradley was smuggled off this cruise ship in a suitcase. In 1998, Amy Lynn Bradley went on her family on a Royal Caribbean cruise, right? Early in the morning, her father last saw her on this balcony, and then he closed his eyes for 15 minutes, opened them, and she was gone. It would almost seem like she maybe fell overboard or even jumped overboard, but there's something much more disturbing that might have happened here. So this is a real photo from the ship. This is her first night on that ship when crew members started to notice her in the way she was dressed. There was even a report that there were several crew members who were preying on her. She was about 23 at the time. Even later that night, this is real footage from the dance floor that night on the ship where she appears to be pursued by one of the band members, Yellow. And of course, if you want the full episode on this, you gotta go check it out. Now, at the time the ship was docked, and 5 months later, witnesses claimed to see her on the beach where she disappeared in the possession of 2 men. They're gonna say no. So here's what
Since the Olympics themselves don't give out any money to medal winners, it's left up to a country's government and sponsors to decide what they'll win. And boy, do they differ. I mean, starting with the host, France have increased their prize money to $86,000 for gold. USA pays $37,500. Canada are looking at about $16,000. Great Britain pay a whopping total of $0. And the same goes for Norway, New Zealand, and Sweden. But then we got the other extreme. Hong Kong is paying gold medal winners a staggering $780,000. They'll even pay you if you finish 4th to 8th place. Indonesia promised their last 2 gold medal winners 5 cows, a meatball restaurant, and a new house. Oh, and $350,000. Singapore, commonly confused with China by US lawmakers. No, Senator. Again, I'm Singaporean. Said they will give gold medal winners $744,000. Malaysia are giving out a foreign-made car. Kazakhstan are going for 3, 2, or 1-bedroom apartments. China has always kept theirs a little bit of a secret. And then just for our rapid fire, we've got South Africa, Spain, Germany, Italy, Australia, and Thailand. Oh, and if you're wondering if athletes could at least just sell their gold medals, well, they're not actually made from pure gold. And if they were to sell them, they'd get about $960. That's it. So the question is, which country do you think takes the W for their prizes? This is
the one who gives out the most, man. I'm thinking when I was a kid, I know I wasn't the only thing when I was a kid. I thought if you want to go medal, you were rich, you were set for life. Dad said if you sell it, bro, so you only get like $960. Man, we learning, bro. The Olympics, I said, they scamming, bro. Whole life a scam.
Clearest picture of a spirit that I've ever seen. When this photo was taken, there was no woman present inside of the building. And when investigators checked the photos that they had taken that night afterwards, they saw this ghostly face of a woman.
Whoa.
And what's really eerie about this is that this photo was taken inside of the Dumas brothel in Montana. And this location is known to be haunted by a number of women. I actually spent the night recently inside of the building where that photo was taken. Welcome to the Dumas brothel in Butte, Montana. Now, this place is haunted by a number of female spirits, and it has a pretty tragic history. So there were 3 deaths inside of the building, and all 3 of them could have been murders. In fact, one of the former madams of the brothel actually passed away up here in the upper floor of the building. And almost immediately afterwards, another woman took over her position, started driving her car, wearing her robes. So people definitely suspect it was a murder. In the basement of the building is a very scary portion of the place called the Cribs. I was talking to the owners of the building, and they think that there may have been illegal baby sales going on in the basement. And they also think the lives of babies and children may have been ended. The energy in here is so dark, it's so scary, and it's violent too. I saw it firsthand. I just can't get over this photo. I think it gives very Uncanny Valley vibes, and when I investigated there that night and actually was in the pitch black inside of that building, I couldn't stop thinking about how freaky this photo was, and the activity that we caught on camera that night definitely matched the vibe of this picture. It was scary, it was intense, something choked my dad out. I was with my dad, he almost had to quit investigating that night. Yeah, the video is on my YouTube channel now if you want to watch it. It's so crazy.
Should we check that out, Seekers? A full-on haunted freaking brothel? What the hell? Why didn't they just freaking knock down that building, man? Like you said, they had dark energy over there. If you can brave your soul to investigating that paranormal, I don't know if I
The
can do it.
mean amount cheating drama is just got so much crazier. Because not only is bro posting videos of him doing pull-ups in the gym the day after he may or may not have been cheated on, but he's also seen sat by a pool with his arm over a new girl. And I mean, at this point, I'm not even sure if she's special, because every shot that we're seeing, there's a new one. In this one, he sat next to a girl in a black bikini. And then moments later, there's another one with a yellow one this time. Point is, bro's really learning from Neymar. Now, as for Alex Padilla, she removed the I'm married text from her TikTok bio today, and also deleted her Instagram that had over 500k followers. Her new Instagram only follows 34 people, and Lamine is still not one of them. She also posted a new video, which could be seen as a little bit of a dig, where she is wearing the Spanish national team shorts, and also with a song that translates to something about the line of, remember how perfect this body is. So the question is this going to turn Lamine into a beast, or distract him and send him on a bender?
The dark rumors about powerful people. Is there any truth to that?
My mom thinks there's a conspiracy theory. where all the rich dudes get together in a room and they like plot like Inspector Gadget or something. Here's the problem with that theory. They have such big egos, they don't like each other. Elon Musk doesn't like Bill Gates. So there's no universe where those two dudes are at a table. Do you think you become a billionaire without being an extreme narcissist at some level? You are greedy and some level of psychopath. There's a ruthless level to it. They're wired kind of like serial killers. Exactly. Serial killers are solo wolves. Warren Buffett comes off as a nice guy, but trust me, this dude will eat your heart out in a negotiation.
Cool facts I think you should know.
What do you guys think?
2. The blast of air you feel when you walk into a store is meant to stop bugs from flying in. Some people are genetically predisposed to be more attractive to mosquitoes. People who trust their gut feelings are more likely to predict the outcomes of future events correctly. Tying your hair too tightly can strain your scalp's muscles and tendons, resulting in a ponytail headache. The feeling of your arm falling asleep at night is typically caused by pinched nerves, not a lack of blood flow or circulation. When you bring a live Christmas tree into your house, you're likely bringing spiders, mites, and other overwintering insects inside as well.
But I'm a live Christmas tree type of person. I don't like the fake trees. What do you guys think? See, because are you guys fake tree persons, or you guys get the real pine trees, man? Those facts. Man, we are learning out here today, bro.
3 tips that can actually save your life. Number 1, if you're outside and your hair starts to do this, run and find shelter immediately. Because this is a sign lightning is about to strike right where you are. Number 2, if you're stuck in a falling elevator, do not jump or try to pry open the doors. You want to lay flat on your back on the floor. This position will give you the best chance of survival because it distributes the impact across your whole body. Number 3, if you're stuck in a sinking car, do not try to open the door. The water pressure against the door will be too strong and will not allow you to. You want to undo your seatbelt and roll down your window as fast as you can because this will allow you to escape.
Here are 7 facts you need to know today. Let's start off with the fact that the average person walks the equivalent of 5 laps around the world in their lifetime. Yeah, that means you. Time to get those steps in. Globally, only 2% of people actually have green eyes. And it is considered the most attractive eye color. So basically, send us to someone who has green eyes. Domino's are currently trialing drones for their delivery process. That's right, instead of a guy rocking up their car with your pepperoni passion pizza, you've now got a drone. Coming up to your window. TGI Friday promotion called Mobile Mistletoe used a drone to fly mistletoe around the restaurant to random customers. This was a really cool idea until one service when the drone flew into a customer's nose. This person became the Van Gogh of noses, if you know what I mean. What I'm trying to say is drones, if flown correctly, are a lot of fun. And if you're planning on getting a drone anytime soon, there are cheap options to start with. Banggood actually offer insane prices on drones, as well as literally everything else you can think of. The link is in my bio, and thank me later. Finally, in 1673, the Big Apple, New York was known as the Big Orange. Elon!
The Big Orange? When the hell did they change the name to the Big Apple?
Weird ass facts that I know for some reason. Most Koreans have a genetic mutation called ABCC11, which makes their sweat odorless. If you ate a polar bear's liver, you would literally die because there's way too much vitamin A for a human to handle. If you ever find yourself seeing an anteater doing this silly T-pose, get the fuck away, because that is their way of warning you that they're about to claw your eyes out. On average, around 2,195 children die from diarrhea every single day. That is more than AIDS, measles, and malaria combined. Around 95% of whale semen is dumped into the ocean during mating season. You actually have a lot more in common with gorillas than you think. For instance, the average length of a gorilla's schlong is 2 inches.
He just try to cook everybody, bro. Who watched? Why is he trying to cook people, bro? And I never knew that fact about diarrhea. All the other ones combined, man. That's how people go out.
Me and Yamal just get cheated on because the video that is going viral is striking god-level fear into every man's heart right now. Although Lamin never publicly said it was official, he brought Alex Panella out after he won the Euros final. And just a few days ago, they went on holiday together in Greece. So, yeah, they were probably dating. But then, last night, a live stream went viral showing Alex with a group of friends. And at the start, yeah, it didn't seem like much. Then, a couple minutes later, this brother filming raises the phone and shows her either sat on another guy's lap or at least very close. Almost immediately, she smacks the phone out of the guy's hands and says this in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. Someone translate in the comments, please. Now, let's be honest, this isn't proof that she cheated or that they even broken up. But this morning, they no longer follow each other on Instagram. And guys are now saying that if Lamine could get cheated on, none of us are safe. And that she fumbled the bag. She fumbled generational wealth for the love of the game. But if we do get any actual confirmation, I'll let you guys know. These are creepy facts
You know what
about
happened.
you that are
They
absolutely
ain't loyal.
disturbing. Part 1. Up first, you breathe in dead skin every single day of your life. This is because the dust in your house is actually 50% dead skin, which is from yourself and family. So next time you're around your house and you see dust, just know that's 50% dead skin. Next up, your eyeballs are a part of your brain. Your eyeballs are so close and connected to the brain that they're considered a part of the brain. This is absolutely mind-blowing, and I never knew this. Finally, death of an old age is not a real thing at all. You can't die of old age, only by the diseases brought on by old age. Up first, your belly button is an ecosystem. There are at least 2,300 distinct different species of bacteria living in your belly button. So next time you're in the shower, make sure to wash your belly button because I know you definitely forget. Next up, did you know spicy food literally tastes like a burn? When tasting spiciness, the tongue is actually tricked, and your brain senses temperature. So that spicy feeling you feel whenever you eat spicy food, that's actually just your mouth burning. Finally, your brain can live without a body. The human head can stay conscious up to 20 seconds after being decapitated. Just imagine being decapitated and your head is just laying on the ground, and you could still hear, see, and think. That's what you call a living nightmare.
First objects that actually exist. The Hands Resist Him painting, painted by Bill Stoneham, is considered one of the most haunted pieces of art. Every person who has ever owned this painting shares the same story. They claim that once nightfall hits, the figures in the painting would either move or disappear completely. People also claim that even seeing the painting immediately makes them feel sick and weak. If this isn't scary enough, the owner of the first art gallery to ever show the painting, as well as the art critic who reviewed it, both died within 1 year of seeing it.
That's definitely some cursed energy.
Facts that you didn't know. Skittles is the candy that is bought the most on Halloween. A man once carved a pumpkin in 16.4 seconds, and it's a world record. I bet you didn't know that trick-or-treating has existed since the medieval times. Halloween brings in the second most amount of money among all holidays besides Christmas. And finally, a city in Canada made it illegal for kids 16 years and older to trick-or-treat.
No more candy for you, bro. They said
Disturbing
grow up.
facts you wish I never told you, part 7. Meerkats murder the babies of their rivals. You can't hear anything in space. There's 6 million skeletons under Paris. Nutmeg is an hallucinogen.
Maps that will change the way you see the world. This map shows the household incomes that are needed to feel comfortable living in each U.S. state. This map shows the number of cities that each U.S. state has with a population over 100,000 people. This map shows the major regions of where all of the zip codes are, with each number being the first number in your zip code. This map shows the obesity rates by country from just a couple of years ago, with China being in the green of under 10% and the United States being in the red of over 40%. This is a map of Italy that shows where the mafia is the most active, with the red areas being the highest.
Stay away from that.
Alaska is actually more central to the world than you would believe, and this is showing all the average flight times to major cities around the world. This map shows the strange distribution of where crested porcupines come from. How did they come from both sides of the Sahara Desert? This map shows where all the deserts are around the world. This map shows where all the vault locations are in the Fallout series.
Here are some facts you didn't know.
Interesting.
In 1559, King Henry II of France was participating in a jousting tournament. During a match, he was severely wounded in the eye and brain by a splintered lance. He died of his injuries 10 days later, with his death leading to the decline of jousting as a sport in France. Actress and Playboy centerfold Yvette Vickers was last seen in 2010 after withdrawing from her family and friends. When neighbor Susan Savage noticed cobwebs on the mailbox, she went inside to investigate. Upstairs, she discovered her mummified body. Lieutenant Colonel William Henry Rankin is one of only 2 known persons to survive falling from the top of a cumulonimbus thunderstorm cloud. He was forced to eject from his jet when his engine failed. It took him 40 minutes to finally reach the ground. During his descent, he suffered from frostbite, and severe decompression caused his mouth, eyes, ears, and nose to bleed.
Could you guys even imagine having to eject having to eject from the plane and you just like free falling? Like 30 minutes and have to experience all that? What's going on in your head as you're descending down? It's a brave man right there.
I mean, if Neuralink wasn't already scary enough, Elon Musk has just said that they are now working on the ability to help people that have lost limbs by attaching parts of their Optimus robot to their body and then using the Neuralink chip to control them. The company recently implanted their second patient with the chip, and in their most recent update on his recovery, Elon said, if all goes well, there will be hundreds of people with Neuralinks within a few years, maybe tens of thousands within 5, and millions of people within 10 years. I mean, we joked about people's chips getting hacked before, when it was just their brain, but now, throw in their arms and legs too? Hollywood, how about we stop making sequels to everything, and someone make a movie about that?
This high school
They really want to freaking bring like our robot into reality, man. I know that Will Smith movie, it seems like that's the road we going down, man. Neuralink. I stay away from that completely. I ain't getting no chip putting in my brain. No, thank you.
Resource officer was caught having a relationship with a 15-year-old girl. The girl only came forward when she was 19 after she spoke to a therapist of what had happened. This all began in 2019 when 34-year-old officer Christian Lennon got a hold of this girl's number and then used that information to find her on Snapchat. He then used his power to reach out to her, forming a relationship and then eventually essaying her in his car and his house multiple times. He told the girl that if she ever told anyone, they wouldn't believe her and they would all be on his side. Finally, in 2023, she went to police and they arranged a phone call between the girl and Christian where she brought up the relationship and everything they've done, and he unknowingly cooperated. His confession on the phone incriminated him, and that was all they needed to arrest him. But what was really weird is that when he spoke to investigators, he argued that he thought the girl was 16, and that meant she was of legal age to consent, which shows that this officer doesn't even know the law.
So I'm sure you all remember back in 2016 when the whole clown situation happened, and it was, a bit terrifying to say the least. You're easily scared. Do not watch this. These two stories happened on the same day in the same neighborhood back in 2016. So a young boy was home alone for the evening as his parents went out for a meal, and down the road a young girl was babysitting another child whose parents went out. Well, why was everyone's parents out that night? Jesus. Now, the young boy was just sat in bed, playing some video games, watching TV, and then eventually tried to get some sleep, until he heard a load of banging coming from outside the window. When he looked out the window, he saw this standing at the end of his driveway. Then he looked out the other window and saw this at the other side of his house, and then this at his actual window. Nah. He called the police, they came, but the men had already run off. Now over to the babysitter on the other side of the road. This was about 10 minutes afterwards. There was a creepy-looking clown statue just sat in the middle of the lounge after she put the child to bed. She called the dad and said, I didn't realise you liked clowns, it's creeping me out, do you mind if I move it? And he said, there is no clown statue. She looked out the window and again saw two men standing there, staring in. She quickly called the police, pressed 5, dropped the phone and hid upstairs. Eventually the police came, arrested the men, but there was actually one inside the house. She said, where was he? And they said, he was hiding underneath the child's bed.
Whoa.
May.
The scary truth.
I remember that scary clown like freaking time, man. I remember everybody was dressing up as it, but some people, like you said, obviously we've seen these clips, man, they were taking it way too far. You actually went to a person's house, man, hiding in their bed at that. Nah, those scary clowns. I'm just glad that trend is over.
Truth about Santa Claus. But dude is all in one part, so make sure you double tap this video. His mom told her kid to stay in bed. It was Christmas Eve. The boy didn't listen. He really wanted to see Santa Claus. It said that Santa Claus actually kidnapped the kid for not listening to his mom. To this day, nobody knows where he is.
Santa Claus, Dark Origins.
Crazy things happening in the world right now that you will seriously not believe. This tiny water creature was frozen 24,000 years ago, and it has just been brought back to life. This means we're actually a stage closer to bringing people back from the dead, meaning people that have been cryogenically frozen will be able to come back to life in the near future. Next, scientists have identified 29 habitable planets which aliens could be observing us from. This is that they are close enough that they could be observing us right now, and close enough to intercept our radio and TV waves, meaning they'd be able to hear broadcasts and all that kind of thing. Could they be out? Finally, construction is set to start in the next couple of years for this space hotel. It is called the Voyager Station. They already have their website up available for booking now. It's set to open in 2027 with hotel rooms, gyms, swimming pools, and so much more. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to stay here.
Nah, I don't think I could. Y'all tell me down below if you could stay up there. Not me. They made 2 video freaking... Didn't they make a movie on that? What happened? And they didn't
These
end well?
are disturbing Disney World facts. Up first, Disney's first water park called River Country closed permanently in 2001 after a crazy reason. An 11-year-old boy died from a brain-eating parasite he got in the water at the park. The park is still there, completely abandoned to this day. Next up, the actor who used to play Gaston at Disney World Orlando accidentally killed himself by attempting to shoot fireworks off of his head. Next up, Disney World is one of the most popular places on Earth where people scatter the ashes of dead people. It actually happens so often that the employees have a special code to use to report it for cleanup. Finally, in 2010, a restaurant manager at Disneyland Paris took his own life one day after working a shift. But before doing so, he left a note on the wall that translated to, "I don't want to go back to Mickey ever again."
If you ever see a faceless man in your dreams, you need to run fast. Believe it or not, your brain cannot actually make up faces. So any face you see in a dream is actually real and someone you've seen before. Even the most terrifying ones you've seen in your dream are actually real and you've seen them somewhere in real life. You just can't necessarily remember it. However, if you see someone with no face in a dream, this is a different story. These faceless people are often referred to as the faceless visitors, are actually demons who are visiting your dreams. Your brain physically can't make up faces. These faceless visitors who are actually demons come to visit your dreams, and sometimes worse.
Now that I've seen it, I
Okay, stay away from the faceless
So
demons.
the other day, a Reddit user posted this photo to Reddit. It's of his apartment at night. He had been complaining of hearing rustling noises in his apartment over the last couple nights. Many users thought they could kind of see something in this area of his kitchen, but I couldn't, so I looked at the brightened version. This is the photo brightened. And I know what you're going to say, yes, it does look like Keanu Reeves, but look at how tall he is compared to the fridge. But it gets so much worse. This is a video he took of his apartment at night where you can see something happen to the light in the kitchen. But let's look at the brightened version.
See movement. I see that?
Yes, it's terrifying. But is it a ghost?
Is that a ghost? Or is that an edit?
Can someone tell me what this is? Did this man find a dragon?
I'm gonna have to call edit on that one. Sure looks real though.
Is the Loch Ness Monster real?
I think these are edits. Or some AI mixed with them.
Surprising facts about sleep.
Yeah, I don't know about those.
1 in 3 people don't get enough sleep at night. Your body temperature naturally drops 1 to 2 Fahrenheit when you sleep. 60% of people struggle to sleep due to overheating. But what if your mattress is the thing that's causing you to overheat at night? I had this problem, but recently I switched my mattress to the Emelux cooling mattress. I've been testing it out, and let me tell you, my sleep is much better.
With its thermosync technology, the mattress keeps your body temperature balanced all night long, so you don't have to wake up in a sweat any longer. Plus, it offers full body pressure relief, so whether you sleep on your back or on your side, you'll wake up feeling refreshed. And if you share your bed, you'll love the motion isolation feature. Partner tossing and turning won't disturb your sleep anymore. So if you're ready to get better sleep, get the Emma Lux cooling mattress now and always wake up feeling refreshed. Check out the Emma Summer Bank Holiday now. Get up to 40% off and an extra 5% with my code LeonsFacts. But hurry, click the link because the offer ends soon.
I have to check that out, man. I have noticed that, like, when it's hot at night, but it's way harder to fall asleep compared to when it's cooler. I could just fall asleep like that.
So this man in this photo is a serial unaliver, and he basically was freed from prison because of old age. Now, according to what I looked into, he unalived around at least 19 people in the 70s and the 60s, tourists that traveled to Southeast Asia. He would basically unalive them, mainly women. He was called the bikini unaliver because that's usually what they were wearing when he would unalive them. Well, they actually, they finally caught him. He served 19 years in prison.
19?
And then he was released because of old age. So basically they said that he seemed like he was too old to do any kind of crimes again, since he's in his 70s, and they went ahead and released him. Now he's sitting here on this plane next to this woman, and she's probably just like, why are you guys sitting next to a serial unaliver? But yeah, since when do people release people because of old age? It doesn't matter how old you are. You can rot in prison, in a prison cell, after unaliving people. And who says he can't do it again?
Just what I was about to say. Read my mind.
This shows all the conspiracies in the world, from the most well-known ones to the darkest of the dark. And as I'm sure you know, in this series we're going from the top to the bottom, so let's go. This is wild and will have you thinking for a long, long time. So it's scientifically proven that after death there is around 7 or 8 minutes of brain activity remaining. And a recent study has just been done which could suggest this happens for hours. Along with this, there's been the theory for years that life flashes before your eyes when you die. So here's the theory, and this is scary. So time is distorted when you're in dreams, right? Like a dream may actually only be about a minute, but feels to you when you're in it like an hour or 2 hours, even longer. So when you die, your life does flash before your eyes. You'll relive all your memories in real time in that 7 or 8 minutes, but it actually feels to you like your entire life. So what if we are all dead, laying in a hospital now or whatever, and our life is flashing before our eyes right now, and we're reliving all of our memories? Obviously there are things like, how the hell am I filming this video then? But, I mean, it's pretty scary to think about. Yeah, that follow up is going to get even crazier.
That's something that we can ponder about. Because the way we experience dreams, like you said, it may seem, like I said, to us it's like hours or lifetimes, but it's really a couple of minutes. I never really thought about it like that before, Shikis. It's just in theory.
I would have peed myself if I saw this. So Sale was a paper delivery boy years ago, and what he saw on his route is terrifying. Before we dive in, if you love ghost stories, make sure you check out my podcast. This week's episode is all ghost stories from listeners. So when Sale was a paper delivery boy, he always delivered to this one house in his neighborhood where an old woman lived. She was not in great health, so she actually had given him a key so he could let himself in and leave the paper on the table. One day he lets himself in the middle of the day, and he sees that she's in her room lying in her bed fully asleep. This is not normal for her, so he calls to her, but she doesn't answer. So he puts the paper on the table and he just heads out. But the next day is the same exact thing. He comes into her house and she's asleep in her room, not moving and not answering. So he's like, okay, if I come back tomorrow and it's the same thing, I'm going to call for help. Except the next day when he arrives, she greets him at the door. And she's saying things like, thank you so much for delivering my paper. I loved seeing you around. I'm gonna miss you. And he's like, okay, that's kind of weird. So the next day he comes back to deliver the paper and there's cars all outside. So Sale runs up to a police officer and is like, what's going on? And the police calmly explains that the woman in the house had passed away days prior and a neighbor finally noticed and called it in. So then who did Sale see when he went to the house?
What the hell was he talking to?
Most common zodiac signs amongst different types of people. Billionaires, Leo. Serial killers, Pisces. Famous people, Aries. Major CEOs, Capricorns. Psychopaths, Scorpios.
It said Leo, billionaires? Hey man, I must be on the right path or something.
Facts that will mess with your perception of time. There is probably a Greenland shark out there that was alive when Henry VIII was crowned king. The Great Pyramids were further away to the Romans than the Romans are to us now. Rome is 2,500 years older than Italy itself. Italy only became a country in 1861. The last guillotine took place in France at the same time Star Wars came out in 1977. Sharks are actually older than trees, roughly 350 million years old. George Washington never knew dinosaurs existed. He died before they were discovered. This tree right here was fully matured when the Great Pyramids were under construction.
Things you never knew your body was capable of. Your brain can hold 25 million gigabytes of information. Your bones are 5 times stronger than steel. Human bodies glow in the dark, your eyes just can't detect it. You become 35% stronger when you have an adrenaline. 50% of your grip strength comes from your pinky finger.
Breaking news, Bella Brave has been put into a medically induced coma and they do not believe she is going to make it. Many of you may recognize her from being a star on this app. You may also know her as Bella Brave. Now, as of July 10th, her mother has posted that she has been medically induced in a coma. She said, quote, "They've told us they don't know if she'll survive this. I know she will. I know she has an army praying for her." Her mother shared that Bella had developed an infection in her lungs and also may have developed a form of bronchitis. Doctors say the type of bronchitis that she developed is, quote, "irreversible and a chronic condition." It is also known as popcorn lung. On July 9th, her mother posted that although Bella was, quote, "sitting up," she began to struggle. She went on to say, quote, "She lost 4 pounds in one day, putting all her energy into breathing. Her CO2 started to increase and she started to doze off and have delirium. She was alert enough to tell me she turned into a piece of bread, and she also knew that she was at the Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto." She continued by saying they knew at that point they needed to sedate her and intubate her before she crashed. "We left having them tell us they didn't know if she'll make it through the night, but she did." However, the following day, her mother said that she was placed into a medically induced coma. "The best of the best were telling us it looked really bad. But I kept lifted stare, intensely listening until I heard what hope there was left that we could hang on to." She has also shared that Bella was put on a large dose of steroids. She said this is the one option they have left to help her lungs work again. Day 3 will give us more information on how soon we could see her lung function improve. She's stable, and that in itself is an improvement from now. To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. Prayers for Bella, and I'll keep you guys updated. What do you guys think? Drop in the comments.
Did you know there's just a ghost ship out there floating around the ocean filled with rats? And I mean, the ocean itself is terrifying enough. I could do many videos on weird things in the ocean. But let's start with this one, because it's not just a few rats on a ship. It's rat infested, apparently. And those rats eat each other, and people are worried that if they run into the ship, it might eat them too. So the ship behind me is called the Lubov Orlova, and if I butchered that, I'm sorry, I don't speak Russian. And it was, as you can see, a fully functional ship up until 2006, when so much debts were collected that it had to be docked. And it was docked for 2 years, and that's where the rat thing comes in. So after 2 years of just sitting there, which was prime time for anything to sneak on board, especially rats, people decided that they were going to scrap it. So they took it to scrap it, but then the line that they were towing it with, or whatever the nautical term of that is, broke, and it floated for a while. But it was still in the Canada area where it had been docked. Now, Canada decides they're going to grab the ship, and they were going to scrap it. But for whatever reason, when they did finally get this escaped, unused ship, they went into international waters and just let it loose to go wherever it might go.
Why?
Nobody really knows why they did it. They just decided to. And that's when this ship became a ghost ship, because people didn't know where it was after that. Then fast forward to 2013. Somebody spots the ship closer around the area of the UK and Ireland, and that's when they say there's a ton of rats on board. Now, this hasn't been completely confirmed, but that's when this rat story starts. After that first sighting of where the ship finally ended up with, people start pouring in more sightings, saying that this ghost ship is floating around, is heading towards Ireland, and it's filled with rats. Rats that eat each other and are potentially dangerous to other people. So the most chilling thing, in my opinion, about this whole ghost ship filled with rats is that there's at least one story out there of somebody who found this ship, sent a distress signal, and they then themselves went missing. So what happened to them. Did the rats get them? Because that's just, ugh, I hate that. Anyways, in around 2015-ish, 2014, maybe a little earlier, people were very concerned that this ship was going to find its way floating into Ireland and release all of these horrible, horrible rats.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a concern for a while, and at my understanding, it still kind of is, but it's been like 10 years since then, so I don't know if that's still something people are panicking about, but what do you guys think about this ghost ship?
This
Why
pedophile
just
committed a crime so
destroy it?
disturbing that a petition was created that asked the government to publicly hang him. And the petition gathered thousands of signatures. This is 33-year-old Benjamin Taylor from West Virginia. And in 2016, he would commit one of the most sickening crimes I've ever read about. Back in 2016, Benjamin was living with his girlfriend, a woman named Amanda Adkins. At the time, Amanda had recently given birth only 9 months ago to her baby daughter, Emily. Emily was a beautiful young girl. And I want to warn you all right now, the details that we're about to discuss are some of the most disturbing I've ever covered. So in October of 2016, Benjamin had only been living with his girlfriend Amanda for about a month. And on the morning of Emily's death at around 4:30 a.m., Amanda woke up and went downstairs to search for her baby. When she went downstairs, she saw Benjamin Taylor with his pants unzipped sitting in the dark. Amanda then noticed that her 9-month-old daughter's limp body was lying nearby on a pile of sheets and laundry. Amanda screamed at Benjamin and grabbed her daughter's lifeless body, but he remained silent and stared at the ground. The details of what had just happened down there are disturbing. Local authorities would call this the worst assault that they had seen in decades. You see, Benjamin and Emily were covered in the infant's blood. After the child's body was examined, the authorities were able to determine that she had been assaulted by an adult male multiple times. The infant child was also bleeding extensively and had suffered head trauma. Emily had a fractured skull and brain hemorrhaging. Authorities believe that Emily may have been shaken violently, or even thrown to the ground or slammed against a hard object. When police arrived at the scene, Benjamin Taylor was observed trying to wipe something off of his groin. That was eventually determined to be Emily's blood. He also told authorities that he remembered taking the baby to the basement, but that he blacked out after that. You see, he had been smoking and drinking the night before, and that was his excuse. Thankfully, Benjamin was convicted of all charges and sentenced to life in prison without mercy, as you can see right here. But for some people, that just wasn't enough. And like I said at the beginning of this video, a petition was created which asked the government to publicly hang Benjamin. And this petition, before it was shut down, gathered over 50,000 signatures.
Ooh.
I mean, this truly is one of the worst things that I've ever covered here on my TikTok. And personally, I don't think that life in prison is enough for this guy. I mean, the pain that poor Emily went through before she was eventually killed is just heartbreaking on every single level. And I just hope and pray that the other prisoners that are in there with Benjamin find out, or already have found out, exactly what he did to land himself in there. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife, Courtney. It's available on all streaming platforms.
They found out. That's going to be kind of it for him. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys comment down below, man. Like I said, comment down below what you guys think of these clips that we watched together. Also, man, don't forget to follow me on all my social medias. Links are in the description, so we always stay connected as a community. Guys, gonna catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.